you know, a little unprepared. Little unprepared. The weather is gorgeous. It's going to be a beautiful day. It's probably 60 some degrees out here now. I'm sure that's going to go up to about the 80s today. And it's just wonderful. That little yellow dot you see out there, it looks closer to me because I'm right here. That is actually the sunrise coming up in Lake Michigan. Sunrise today in Chicago was set for 6:38, and we know the creator is never late. It is just beautiful, man. I want to say good morning to everybody. As y'all can see in the description of this live, free speech has a cost, or the cost of free speech is just crazy these days. But and it's always been that way. I just think there was always some confusion. There's always been some consternation or some convoluted application of it. But is there something called free speech? I would say no. If I'm looking at the term free speech. Free speech to me is different than can you say what you want? Can you say what you want? My answer to that is yes. You could literally utter whatever thoughts come to your mind and whatever ability that you have to articulate those thoughts audibly, whether it be on a microphone, on the camera, at the podium, on the bus, at the train station, even in your house. But is it free speech? Is speech free? More to the point, more succinctly, is speech free? Absolutely not. There is a cost associated to anything that can audibly be discerned by another human being, that can visually be embraced or absorbed by other human beings. It's just the cost to it. It's just what it is. Yeah, it's a little hazy out there, but it looks beautiful. Oh man, picturesque. That's beautiful. Like I said, the sunrise was scheduled for 6:38. And y'all know God don't disappoint. The creator just doesn't. Now it's a little hazy. We got little clouds, little whatever those clouds are called. But to me, it's beautiful because it adds a natural canvas to the sky. I don't like it when it's all the way clear, unless I'm trying to get a starry night where I can see the planets in the sky, maybe some satellites going through at a low level, or just taking it in, you know, a starry night just to gaze. When it comes to the sunrise, I do like a little clouds around because again, it adds a natural canvas. It's almost like it's an artist just drawing and painting. It just comes across great. But like I said, I don't mean to jump all the way around, but excuse me, it's 6:41 in Chicago. Sunrise was at 6:38, and the weather is beautiful. I can just tell you that now. The ambient sound of the seagulls just coming by, probably waiting for people to feed them, which nobody's out here doing. I think they're looking for scraps or whatever that they do, but free speech. What do y'all think about that? What was the guy's name? Jimmy Kimmel, Colbert, and all of these people taken off the air for things that they said here recently about the death of Charlie Kirk, and the idea, or what's really being pushed around and discussed, is free speech is gone. There's an attack on free speech by the Trump administration and different things like that. I'm going to say to you guys like this. This is what I'm going to say. There's always a cost to what we say out our mouths. We have wives, we have kids, we have bosses, we have political leaders, we have religious leaders, we have partners, we have community. There's always a cost. You know how many people, how many parents that love their kids, that knew that they couldn't take the sound of their child trying to sing? Can you imagine the cost of telling your child at a particular age in their childhood, adolescence, or just maturity, period, that look, singing's not going to work out for you, and I'm not about to pay for a class? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine telling your child that she's not or he's not as handsome and she's not as beautiful as the standard? I get it. All kids are beautiful. That's mean that you say that. See, I'm going to pay the cost of saying what's true, because what is the cost of that? The cost of that is people would unsubscribe, won't subscribe, will jump off of this chat because I'm just simply saying what's true. Can you imagine paying the cost of telling one of your kids that the reality of it is I have more zeal and more passion and more love for your brother or your sister because they were my firstborn or my lastborn, or they remind me of my mother, or whatever the case might be? There's a whole litany of reasons. But this is the cost of free speech. That's all I'm getting at. It's just the cost. And I'm keeping it in the family. I'm keeping it in the house. So imagine in society, at your job today, today's Friday, and you're telling your boss or you're telling your coworker or whoever what you consider to be freedom of thought, free speech. Something you can stand on, something that you can qualify. There's something tangible, there's empirical evidence to support what you're saying, to support your free speech. Can you do it? Absolutely. Go right in there at 9 o'clock, 8:30 this morning and do it. Will it cost you? Absolutely it'll cost you. And it should, because there's no such thing as free speech. There's a such thing as freedom of speech. I don't mean to play semantics. I don't even want it to be a semantic shift in what's being said and what's being meant. But any adult should understand that there's a cost. That's all. You ever work somewhere and you guys have meetings, the directors, the C-level people, they have meetings to discuss maybe a piece of equipment, maybe a purchase to make for the company, maybe some software to purchase for the enterprise, for the infrastructure, maybe the licensing, different things like that. And let's say the license costs $50 a month and they're meeting to whether to purchase 10 licenses at $50 a month for 1 year. So if 10 licenses at $50 a month for 1 year, each month will be $500, 10 times 50, that's simple math. 5 times the 12, $6,000. So it's gonna cost $6,000 to purchase that license, to upgrade or use some particular enterprise level software for 1 year, because that's the only time you need it. It's the one that you want. We're just meeting to see whether we're gonna pay for it or not. But then if you index who's at the meeting, 2 C-level staff, senior network technician, the chief technology officer, the CFO, and you meet 4 or 5 times, you meet 6 times over a period of 3 or 4 months. Essentially, if you index the salary and the time afforded to meet 4 or 5 times to discuss, present, and do all of that stuff, you've paid for the license. So now the reality of it is that when you decide after the 5th meeting, we're gonna go ahead with it, it's only gonna cost $6,000 a year. That's no longer true. Now the true cost of purchasing that license is $8,400. Because if you index the time in the meeting and how frequent y'all did over the last 3 months to make this decision, that comes out to $2,500 based on salary, time, different things like that. What am I getting at? Imagine if you're in that meeting and you say, we wasted money and bought half the license just meeting on it. And you could represent it in numbers. It was actually true, in fact. People would agree with you. But there would be a cost of saying that. That's all I'm saying to you. See, free speech, what's right, what's true, what's fair, what's constitutional, what's legal, what's not legal, are separate entities. People want to mash them up. People want to act like that when something is considered free speech, it's encrypted and couched, it's layered, it's covered, it's wrapped in what's right, what's moral, what's ethical, what's true, what's legal, what's constitutional, what's innate, what's human. It's not true. That's not true. I think people have it confused. Can you say what you want? Absolutely yes. If you have the breath and the oxygen and the words and the wherewithal to articulate those phonics, the phonetics, the sound, the utterance, you can. Absolutely, 1,000,000%. I don't see anything in the way of anybody exercising that at all, short of their own physiological challenges that might prevent them from doing that. Is it free to speak out? Absolutely not. Let's stop lying to each other. Let's stop lying to one another. Does it cost money when we say it costs? No. Sometimes it's not money. Sometimes it's a relationship. Sometimes it's self-esteem. Sometimes it's ego. Sometimes it's pride. So if you say certain things that are true because you're thinking it about a family member, this could cause a drift. This could cause some type of separation or a swell in a relationship that's not too well anyway. That's why a lot of people, they get together on Thanksgiving or other family get-togethers, reunions, and then you have these particular family members that get drunk, and the alcohol suppresses or affects the ego, which is supposed to assist the id, according to Freudian's theory of the id, ego, and superego. The alcohol suppresses the ego, which is supposed to assist the id in not doing what it wants to as an immediate gratification without some consideration of consequences, ramifications. It suppresses the ego and it increases one's expression of the id. And all of a sudden, there's this family member telling the truth in such a way that nobody wants to hear it, but the people who wanted to say it anyway, at the family reunion, at the Thanksgiving, at the drunk fest, they glad they saying it because they don't have to pay for the cost of that speech. Yeah. So, I said all that, talk about the family, talk about personal life, I said that in-house. So what makes a person think that you can exercise your same level of gravitas, bravado, expression, power in words, using words as a sword, without any consideration of who's in charge? Who can influence the mic? Who can turn your volume down? Because again, it has nothing to do with morality. It has nothing to do with what's right. It has nothing to do with what's constitutional. With ABC, Jimmy Kimmel, It's money. Imagine if money wasn't a consideration. Do you think that they would have set Jimmy Kimmel down? Do you think that they physically, ABC, physically fear Donald Trump? He might come down here and smack me in my mouth because we let him say, no, I don't think that's it. Do you think it's a humanitarian effort on the efforts of ABC to say, we need to set Jimmy Kimmel down because, oh man, it would just destroy future generations of Gen Z and Gen Z1 and Gen 3 to the 58th exponent? No, no. There's only one thing to consider: money. That's it. It's just the money. That's all. If you take the money out of it, people would speak differently. The reactions would be different. People would be more indifferent. They wouldn't be wielded or influenced or moved or dangling on the string of the puppet by the puppet master. Just wouldn't. We wouldn't say certain things, or we would if we remove money. Everybody's get ready, not everybody, many people going to work this morning. They don't even like their boss. They don't like their coworker. But you only get certain times of year to express it if you want to keep your job. How do you express it? You express it by not being available for events at your workplace or in your organization or in your church or even in your family. That's not required for you to maintain your current status quo, especially if that involves your earnings, how you pay your bills, how you send your kids to private schools, how you pay that car note, that mortgage, and other things. Because there's no free speech without a cost. So when that job says, hey guys, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to a party Friday night for Christmas. You don't go. You good. Why? Because even though you don't go, and the people know you don't rock with them like that, the cost is minimum. The cost. They're not gonna do a HR progress review because you don't show up for Christmas parties. Nah. In their mind, they just know you don't rock with them like that. But they have to go back and render out, do you do your job? Did you come to work? What's your proficiency? Are you effective? Are you a team player? Yeah, you all that. I just don't fuck with y'all when the clock ain't ticking. That's all. It's still a cost. Jimmy Kimmel, Colbert, and all these other people, don't cry a river for them. These people are multi-millionaires. Millionaires. They'll be fine. And they're more aware of freedom of speech than probably you and I. Why? They have lawyers. They probably talk to different ABCs or corporations or the like. They'll be fine. But this idea that Trump is so wrong, Trump is attacking free speech. Who doesn't attack what's called free speech? Your wife doesn't? The husband doesn't? Your girlfriend doesn't? The fucking cat doesn't? Who doesn't attack free speech? I want an example of free speech we think it is actually free and it's not a cost associated with it. Other than that, it's beautiful out here. It's just wonderful. And if you think free speech is free and there's no cost, go to work today or go to church this Sunday and tell a person at church you can't stand that cheap ass goddamn oil or perfume that they wear. Tell a pastor, I like what you say, I just don't come to the pulpit because You got some rough ass hands. You got calluses on your fingertips. And every time you touch my goddamn forehead, I go home with abrasions or at a minimum, wake up with some type of bruise on my forehead. Yeah, go tell them that. Tell your child before they leave out this morning. You slow. You just not slow enough for me to put you on medication. Tell them that. And see what the cost be. But it's beautiful out here. It's just love. Yeah. I want to say shout out. I wasn't seeing any of the comments, but I can see it now. Shout out to Tranquility Canadian. Yeah. Ask Roseanne about the same thing. Yeah. All I can say is this. It is just beautiful out here. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that sun. Look at that, man. Oh, man. It's just crazy. King Queso, I apologize, King Queso, if I got this wrong, is a difference between a lie and freedom of speech. I don't know. I'll say this, and I'm just saying this logically, right? Semantically. Free speech, to me, is an oxymoron. Okay? Now, hopefully I'm saying oxymoron correctly. When I first ran across that word, the first 28 times I said oxymoron. And people was looking at me like, you must have just read that fucking word. And I say, wow, I'm talking like I know what I'm talking about, and think I'm using it in its proper context. They say, man, that shit ain't pronounced oxymoron, it's oxymoron. And then some people say, yes, it is, so it depends on where you're at, right? But here's the point. As I understand it, an oxymoron is when you put two words together and one is diametrically opposite than the other, in that sense. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm being the king of bad examples right now. But I'll say this. A lie is a lie. Like, if you're saying a lie in the conscious way, that means I'm telling it and I'm aware that it's a lie. But if I'm saying what I think is the truth, and the person hearing it or receiving it or got exposure to it, whether it's through my microphone on a live, I put it out to social media as a post, I put it on a billboard, type it in the email. If they are interpreting it and processing it, and they are looking at it or determining it's a lie, that's not me lying. There's a difference between me putting something, everything I said on this live this morning has a cost. I am not aware that I'm lying. I am giving you what I think at the level of my understanding or lack thereof, because there's always room for growth, or lack thereof. There's nothing absolute. I'm not in a vacuum of truth or morality or any of that. So right here this morning, for the last 17 minutes, if I've been on here 13 minutes, I'm just sharing my thoughts with you as I understand it. You guys get to say, this dude's stupid, he dumb, he sound illiterate. You can tell he didn't go to school. He must be from a low socioeconomic status. His demographics is probably in the hood. And he lying about XYZ. If you're determining that, it's nothing wrong with that. That's you. But I'm not consciously standing here telling a lie. But is it a cost to even what I think is the truth in the form of speech? That's what I mean. Whether it's a lie, me conscious of it, or me thinking I'm telling the truth, or sharing my understanding about a particular thing at this moment, which would be a form of truth, it doesn't matter, even if I was consciously lying. Is there a cost? Of course there's a cost. Why is there a cost? Somebody I'm related to, or subscribers unsubscribe from my channel, or people who jump on this live won't come back, or somebody that's in my church. That wouldn't be my situation because I don't go to church. But somebody that don't go to church. Yeah, that's a good example. Tell other people who don't go to church, look what Talk said. And that's going to be my cost. Yeah. And the cost is always not negative. That's the other thing. The reason why the cost isn't always negative is because I've done a lot of drone videos. I've flown drones. I fly drones, right? I've done a lot of commercial work. Not a lot, some, right? So a lot is relative. I've done some commercial work as a result of flying drones. And you say, well, how's that? You got a drone website? You got this? You got that? No, I did take my FAA Part 107 license as required by the Federal Aviation Administration to fly drones commercially. But that's not how I got any of the gigs. I just posted them on YouTube. That's all. I just posted the footage on YouTube. I shared it with people. And what happened was the cost of me sharing that footage, the cost of me doing that, someone contacted someone or referred someone, they emailed and whatever, and all of a sudden, now we having a conversation because I guess they want to go from, we seen your footage, let me talk to you to see if that was you flying it, if you sound competent, along with your confidence, because you know how that goes. Your competence will raise your confidence. And after doing so, I get a job. Not to fly an elaborate drone and take beautiful pictures. No, it's like for real estate. It's like for farm, for property, different things like that. Because what they looked at was the cost of me posting my drone footage was, if he did that, he can probably do this. So that was the cost. It was just on the positive side. That's all. So Marshall Amps UK says, personally, I try not to think so much. Ignore social media and especially ignore fake politics. Just enjoy family life. I'm a simple man myself. That's, man, shout out to Marshall Amps in the UK, man. Shout out to Marshall Amps. Yes, man. So that's why we have to be mindful. And I'm just talking to all of us, whether you're young, you're maturing, you grow, whatever. You have to come and you will. And that's why, even with Charlie Kirk, right? I could make a list of things I didn't agree with him. I just didn't agree with him, okay? But here's my wisdom, not Charlie Kirk's wisdom. Here's my wisdom. The man was 31. The man been popping his shit and been expressing his blowhorn and echo chamber and his opinions and positions probably for 10 years or a little more than 10 years. Let's just say a decade. What does that mean? That means over 90% of his position of what he's been doing, he was in his 20s. If I was held accountable for what I thought and what I expressed and my position on things, and I made it as loud as he did in my 20s, they probably wouldn't even let me do a live on YouTube. So my wisdom, not Charlie Kirk's, says you can't take a man's life because of his opinions and thoughts when, one, he just left his fucking 20s. So we're not even gonna give him an opportunity to change his position, soften his position, or grow, become more mature. Two, we're gonna silence a man that's using the proper structure to get that opinion out there, even though you don't agree with it. He wasn't wearing a black hoodie on the dark web. You couldn't see him, don't know where he at, don't know who he is, popping that shit. He was using legitimate channels and modes of media to get it out. I'm gonna go to a college. You can see me, you can get to me. Unfortunately, you can take my life whenever you want. I'm Charlie Kirk, I'm married. I have an organization called Turning Point. Now, you can say all of those things that you don't agree with, but he wasn't hiding. He didn't spit in your face while you wasn't looking, and then called it rain when you turned around and say, did y'all feel that? So no, nothing in me. There's nothing in me that says his life should have been taken. Nothing. And I know a lot of people I talk to. Oh man, he brought that on himself. See, I say this to you. People have, when I say people, I'm including myself, right? We have some wonderful luxuries. You want me to tell you one of the luxuries we have? As much disdain, as much distaste, as much, some people, right, hate they have for some of the positions Charlie Kirk said. All of us have the luxury of saying, that's what he get. He deserved it. He brought it on himself. He wasn't shit. But none of us would ball up a piece of fucking cotton and throw it at him if we saw him. See the luxury we got? You see that luxury? See, we got all these gorillas when somebody else take his life. Then we gorillas. That's what he get. As if you would have saw him, you would have at a minimum grabbed him by his collar. No, you wouldn't. You'd have walked right the fuck by and kept your goddamn mouth shut. And then jumped on social media and said, yeah, I saw Charlie Kirk today. I was 7 feet from him. He lucky. He ain't lucky shit. You wasn't gonna do nothing. You know what I mean? People got so much umph with him now that they done took the man, they done assassinate the man. You wouldn't even speak about your hatred for him. You wouldn't even talk about that shit. Because you knew the cost, because you don't know who around. And you knew the cost, because you don't know the position of your boss. Because you knew the cost, and you don't know what the HR director might think and believe. But right after this man passed, get all these gangsters, man. He lucky, Tyler Robinson got to him first. Because if you would have saw him, you wouldn't have did shit. And I'm glad you wouldn't. I'm not saying you should have. I don't think anybody should have did anything beyond what would be considered reasonable. And here's the reality of it. Nobody did. This man been doing this for 10 years. Nobody did anything unreasonable to him. It's just this outlier. If you're familiar with bell curve, and we talk about standard deviations, and you look at the extreme low percentages on the left or the right side, this guy, Tyler Robinson, was kind of a glitch in the system. And unfortunately, whatever that meant to him at the time, he goes and do something as devastating as what he did. I'm not a proponent of Charlie Kirk. I'm talking about humanity here. That's all. All right, guys, I'm gonna get ready to bounce out, but what I will say is this. It's just beautiful out here. I always say to people, God should charge on certain days, certain places. It's so beautiful, so quaint, it's just love. God should charge for people to even come out and enjoy it. Look at this. Look at this. This is crazy. This is just crazy.